I'm so happy to have you here. And I can't believe it's happening. I don't even need to present you because everyone here knows you and admires you. It's no presentation needs, but I will present you anyway. Well, your book, Unheard Melodies, I'm going to read and speak a little bit. Your book, Unheard Melodies, Narrative Film Music, is a major reference I think, for every one of us. And in our group of sound and music studies in this society, in the cinema society, into which I take part, Glauber also take part, we had a joke. If you want to present a paper or a written paper to present in a conference and you don't cite, you have to cite at least one of these three people: Michel Chion, Claudia Gorbman, and Ricky Altman.
Oh,
yeah, and it proves right every time. It was right. And especially if the work was about music, you could be sure you would be cited, quoted. Your book, Unheard Melodies, would be quoted for sure. So that's that's your importance for us, and it's so moving to see you here. Well, you are one of the people responsible for turning this field, music and cinema, into a more academic field. Because not that before you there wasn't any works at all. There were works, but they were mostly works by, say, composers, people that were not academic and were saying, what should one do? What should one not do in order to compose music for films? Mm-hmm. But your work was an academic work. And I think your thesis that the music in classical narrative films, it's normally unheard, at least unheard consciously. It's unconsciously heard, but it's not heard consciously. I think it's right even today, even if in our mainstream, in part of mainstream cinema, although the music has changed a lot, but I think it's quite right, and it's so a remarkable thesis that changed everything. I think it began another field, the field of music in cinema.
Well, I am so deeply honored by everything you've said. I feel like an old person who is now witnessing the flowering of really interesting scholarship. And, when I wrote that book, I wrote my PhD thesis on film. I was in a French department, and so I had to do something about French cinema or literature, but my real interest was film, and I was a musician of sorts. And so I thought, okay, music in French films, and no one had done that. And I had no idea what I was doing. And so I just sort of, and I spent a year in France studying cinema. And the exciting thing at the time in 1973, 74 was semiotics, which I found rather boring, but also very useful. And so that was one of my approaches to music and film. How does it mean? How does it signify? So that seemed to work to get me a PhD, and then it became a book. And I'm still surprised that it was that important to scholars studying music and film. So I think I have the advantage of having done it first, but someone else would have done it very soon in those days, in the 1970s, I think. Nevertheless, I'm honored and very pleased that you've invited me here. So
the pleasure is ours. I would present you, and I would say of your BA in French, your master degree, Romance language. So you have already said that you come from the backgrounds of literature and French.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, you don't have a degree in music, but you were studying music by yourself, isn't it?
Yes, I was I had a lot of privilege as a child. I grew up near New York, and a woman down the street on the same block as our house was a musician. She was German and had emigrated to the United States with her husband, who became the president of the New School in New York, which brought all the great European intellectuals, economists, and literary people to New York. And the wife organized a concert series at the New School. And she brought me every week or two to the New School, where I watched great musicians rehearsing for concerts. Rudolf Serkin and Alexander Schneider, and then Peter Serkin, whom I met when he was 13 years old. So I had a very rich musical childhood, and I played the piano and then took up guitar, and I just loved music. And when I got to the university, I knew that I did not want to be I didn't want to specialize in music, because I thought that would ruin my experience of music. It would ruin the joy to have to study music. So I did all that on my own and sang in the madrigal singers at the university and played lute in the Collegium Musicum, that, you know, the group that played medieval and Renaissance music, and became a folk singer in the 1960s and 70s. And so I've always been very closely connected to music, but I did not want it to become a dull academic activity. So
yes. So thank you for explaining this. It's very interesting. You came from New York, actually.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. And then to the other side.
Moved to the other side. My father moved his academic job, so we moved to the West Coast when I was 13 or 14. Yeah.
Yeah, you have done all your academic way there in Washington, on the other side. I mean, BA, MA, PhD.
Yeah, I had a year in Paris when I was starting my PhD, but mostly at the University of Washington. Yes.
Yeah. Yes, and there you worked from. You first worked in Indiana, and then in Tacoma, Washington, where you became. Now you are a professor emeritus.
Yes. 10 years. I'm 10 years retired. Yes. And Indiana, of course, was a wonderful place to be for music. All the great musicians were on the faculty, and there were great concerts. Janos Starker, the cellist, was there, and Eileen Farrell, the singer, was there. And anyway, there were marvelous concerts. I'm trying to remember, was it Rostropovich? One of the great cellists, I remember, gave 2 concerts in the United States, one in New York and one in Indiana, one at our campus. So it was a real magnet for music as well. So, yes.
Yeah. So very nice. What a privilege to see all these musicians.
Mhm.
Yeah. And as said, your publications began about the 70s. Your publications about music in cinema.
Mhm.
For example, some chapters about Jean Vigo. There were papers first, then they became chapters in Unheard Melodies about Jean Vigo, René Clair, and
Mhm.
about narrative film music, of course.
Mhm.
You took part in the Yale French Studies, the famous collection Yale French Studies,
Mhm.
organized by Ricky Altman in 1980. I
Yep.
think this is very important to the field.
Mhm.
And of course, Unheard Melodies is a book that everyone here, I think, knows or have read part of it, at least chapter 4, about the functions of music in Mildred Pierce, the leitmotifs of Max Steiner in Mildred Pierce. But I would also like to highlight your article, Author Music, from it's appeared in a collected book, the collection organized by I forgot the name of the organizers, but it's from 2007.
Yeah.
Author Music.
Daniel Goldmark, and I
Yeah.
can't remember who else.
I think Robin Steele was also organized or not.
I'm
No.
not sure.
No, I don't think so. She has an article also in this book, but
Mhm.
this special article is so important to me and to people who are studying pre-existing music in cinema. You are always quoted. This is like Unheard Melodies, but in the field of pre-existing music, everyone quotes Author Music from Claudia Gorbman.
You know, I think that I learned from Rick Altman that it's often useful to write about what is obvious. And Rick Altman was very, very good at that when he started out writing about film sound. And the idea of auteur music is obvious, right? We all understand that Paul Thomas Anderson and Johnny Greenwood are fantastic pair and create this amazing world through music, and that the choices of pre-existing music in Paul Thomas Anderson's films is just brilliant. But nobody had yet thought to write an article about it. So there was nothing extraordinary about the thinking that went into that article. It's just obvious. No?
Maybe, but it needs one to begin that.
Yes. So
call attention to the others.
Yeah, I was very lucky to get there first, I suppose. So,
Rafael, do you want to say something? You put the finger like this. No? Okay. I'm just trying to do a presentation of Claudia, and then everyone can also interrupt me and ask something. But well, I'll go ahead. I would also like to highlight your articles about French cinema, like Jean Vigo, René Clair, and Agnès Varda, which was very important to me because me personally, well, I studied a lot French, not French music, but music in the Nouvelle Vague, in the French Nouvelle Vague. And of course, this article was important to me. And when I thought, I will not meet Claudia Gorbman's writings again, then I find a paper about Bong Joon-ho, Okja.
Okja, yes.
Okja, yes. And I quoted it in a paper of mine. So contemporary cinema, Korean contemporary cinema.
Yeah, that was such a wonderful film. I had to do something. And also, I don't remember when that was 2018. I'm just looking at a list here. My very first article ever that I published was in Film Quarterly, the American journal, and it was about Fellini's film, The Nights of Cabiria, Le Notti di Cabiria. And so 50 years later, I got another article into Film Quarterly, and I was very, very pleased to do that. It's Bong Joon-ho is just such an amazing filmmaker. So I'm glad you discovered that. That was fun.
I'm glad to help me a lot.
Yeah.
Helped
good.
my article.
Great. And what was your article about?
It was about the concept of nation and the type of music used in two films. Mm-hmm. One of them was a Hungarian film, and White Gods by Cornel Mundruskop. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name rightly. And the other one was Ocha by Bong Joon-ho. Mm-hmm. Because of the many kinds of music he uses it, including music from the Balkans.
Yes.
And the song, of course, the American song there.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's great. Another article which you may not have found, which I'd be glad to send you, is about music in the world by Jia Zhangke, the Chinese director, because of how important a role music plays in that very wonderful film. So, yeah.
And I have to add, Claudia Gorbman is the translator of Michel Chion's books, the major translator of Michel Chion. So if you read Michel Chion in English, you are also reading Claudia Gorbman.
Well,
in a sense.
And I must say that's been one of my just a precious relationship. He and I began translating his work in the early 1990s, and we are still very close friends. And I think I've done 7 of the books. I think the most recent one is Music in Cinema.
Yeah, I have this one.
Okay. And I even wrote an article in a book. Have you seen this? Michel Chion, L'Inventeur. It's backwards, right?
No, it's okay. It's okay. I'm seeing right.
Anyway, this is, I think last year it came out. And I wrote an article about translating Michel Chion, the process of translating this guy who comes up with such crazy words. How to translate that into English has been a really fun and crazy
a challenge.
Yes, a challenge. Yes. So.
And I think you do something. All your way, academic way, you are doing something that Chion also does, but he does it in a very exaggerated way. So many concepts he creates, but you are naming things, you are creating things. I think it's very important to us, and it's very important to have a woman reference. Because we are always complaining, there are not so many women in science. And then we have a woman in major reference in the field of music and sound in film.
Oh, how nice.
Thank you very much.
Oh, my pleasure. I see that you are, on my screen, you are surrounded by men. Is that the case in Brazil, or are there?
No. Actually, there are many women. I don't know why maybe they couldn't come today. They said they would come. We have like a pioneer in Brazil. She's called Susana Heck Miranda.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yeah. She did the interview with you some years ago.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I forgot her. Yes.
Yeah. There are many women, actually. I don't know. Maybe the men were more available today to come, but this is being recorded. So that you see after that, the women in our group. But there are actually many women. Oh, Ana Luíza is there.
Hi,
There are a
Ana.
lot of women in sound studies in general in Brazil. In sound studies in general, there's a lot of women.
Yeah, there are lots of women, and even in the technical parts, there are lots of women. Ana Luíza comes from the technical parts, from sound caption and sound editing. Even in this field, there are many women.
And of course, in the US, there's Robin Stillwell, whose work is very important, and well, a good number of others. But I think she's really so smart. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm very proud to be in a field in which there are so many women. Also, Carrie Flynn, Kathleen Kalinack, all these women that began the field.
Right.
Like you. And you are the major, you are the pioneer.
Oh, it's difficult for me to absorb all this praise, but thank you. So.
Okay, people, I'm speaking too much. I would like that maybe someone more. Eduardo would like to speak. Eduardo?
I have a question, but I don't know if it's a significant question for you. But when I read your book, you are talking about a classical narrative in the cinema between the 30s and the 50s. A music based in the music of the classical music, symphonic music in the movies. But did you realize in the 80s when you were in your PhD that how this music will be so important again in the cinema?
You mean
before
how
John Williams in the movies in how the symphonic music, the orchestral music, it will be again important. The rule is from the classic narrative. The rule is you define it to this music will be so actual, so important again.
Yeah, you mean the question is why or how has orchestral music remained so important?
Yes, sorry, I'm not so my English is not so well, but
well,
we had the fight between Hitchcock and Herman in the 66. Now, a moment when this music wasn't working well in the movies. Okay, so we have popular music, non-diegetic used in movies. Other traditions musical traditions came to cinema, but the narrative classic tradition, the film score tradition from this moment remains important, especially before new Hollywood for John Williams and these movie makers from the 70s, from the 80s. Did you see a different moment when this tradition become important again?
I see.
You consider you are talking about the past, but in some ways you are talking also about the future, about a tradition will be very important again in the Hollywood movies, especially.
Well, I think that the orchestral tradition never died, but then, especially in the 70s, there was, all these new generations of not only composers, but possibilities of instrumentation just took hold. And then the song craze, starting in the 80s, really, 70s and 80s. And now the most common scoring really is a combination of instrumental ensembles and pop songs, right? That the hybrid score is the most common thing that you hear. And I would say that, for example, I keep returning to Paul Thomas Anderson because I just watched one battle after another 2 nights ago. And it's, I suppose you can call it orchestral scoring, but it is so radically different in both texture and function from, the 1940s. And it's full of songs as well. Just brilliant, absolutely unlike anything, from classical Hollywood. So there has been an evolution, aside from John Williams, who always sort of sticks to the original paradigm. There's such an evolution in film scoring, and such an evolution in possibilities. I also just watched Jafar Panahi's, in English it's called It Was Just an Accident. Yeah, no music, right? Just little snippets of diegetic music, and that's all. And then you have, what else do you have? You have the musical has really continued in the form of the Barbie movie and all the animated films like Encanto and Guardians of the Galaxy. And those are musicals, right? In the tradition of Hollywood musicals, but most of them are animated. Then you have such interesting permutations of the orchestral score with Ludwig Göransson, with Sinners, of course. What a wild musical ride that is. And the instruments and the traditions that film draws from. And Oppenheimer is, I suppose, more like a traditional score, but not really. So the orchestra continues, but it is so, I'm just, again, saying the obvious. It's so influenced by different traditions of music, different nationalities of music, and the big thing, technology, which has completely revolutionized the way the way composers score films. So, yeah, you can say that the orchestra is still there, kind of, but it's largely a digital orchestra, or at least sometimes. It's drawing traditions from tribal traditions and Far Eastern traditions and so on and so forth. And there always seems to be song as well in contemporary scores. So I don't know what the conclusion is.
Thank you. I was talking about especially commercial films. Mm-hmm. When the rules is still there, the rules from the music and the functions of the music of the classical narrative are still there. But of course, I know that there's a vast amount of options to the music, and I love many of the composers you mentioned. I love their
and
work.
you're right sort of conservative impulse to have the music match or create the mood of a scene is still definitely in many, many films. Yeah. Yeah.
So we are open to people who want to speak, to say about the importance of Claudia Gorbman works in your research, or anything you want. Don't be shy, please.
Yes, please. I'm just an old person in my office and loving talking with you.
Rafael, please.
Yeah, thank you. Well, Claudia, once again, following what Luíza said in the beginning, I think everybody who studies music for films read your book, heard melodies. I think it's very fair to become almost a joke. Like it has to be there, you know. I think it would be very hard to take seriously an article or any kind of tests about music in films if you went to the references and didn't find your book there. And I think it's very rare for any author, you know, to be like in every work of everybody. I think the only other person who we could say the same is Michel Chion, and probably most of Chion's that we read are your versions, your translations of Michel Chion's work. So you are the two most read people in the studies of film music. I guess I can say. But this is about Brazil for sure, and this is about Portugal. Everybody who studies music for films here also know these works and have them as references. But I would like to make two questions. The first one is I read somewhere that you were working on a new edition of Unheard Melodies. I don't know if it got published.
I was.
And,
I'm not. I was thinking of doing that, but I got tired of that material.
Okay.
Yeah.
But once you reread or you got tired of the new edition?
No, it was not appealing to me to update it and to produce a new edition of it. I do have the rights to the original. So please, since I have the rights and I'm not going to sue anybody, please feel free to photocopy it as much as you want. But I'm actually in retirement. I'm more busy as a translator. I did, well, actually in the last 10 years, I've done 3 Chion books. I've done his book L'écrit au cinéma, Words on Screen, which is just a wonderful book. I did that. I did the second edition, the second English edition of Audio Vision, and I did Music in Cinema. But here are the page proofs. Here's the page proofs of a book about the Nuremberg trial by a French historian named Sylvie Lindeperg. And it's about the Nuremberg trial, about the use of film and photography in the trial as evidence for convicting the 22 defendants. And it's an amazing scholarly work. So I've spent a lot of time doing that. And the rest of my time I spend on fighting the power in the United States. In our small city, we have a rally, a demonstration every week. And a small group of people have designated me as the speaker. So I'm extremely busy doing that and out on the streets and doing whatever I can to fight fascism. So I'm sorry. Yes.
No. The second question, I don't know if it's relevant now after this, but because I think it's very important what you're doing, and I thank you and congratulate you for fighting for this fight, which is I think is the main thing right now, especially in the U.S. Mm-hmm. But I'm curious because you were talking a lot about recent movies, very recent, like One Better After Another, and other films, and I'm curious if you, I don't know, even in retirement, now that you're free of the dull academic, as you said, and I feel the same sometimes because I have the will to write about some movies or the music in some movies, but I'm often kind of not lazy, but I think, but now I have to write a whole article. I would just like to talk about what I think is interesting, or like I like the texture or something different. And I would like to ask you if you sometimes you have the will, to do something, I don't know, a podcast or a blog or whatever, just to talk about these films that you see recently and that you saw and that you think the music is interesting or has something to say, I don't know, I would love a Claudia Gorbman podcast or something like that, something that could be, I don't know, a bit easier to do than a book or something like that, but would also, be, very enriching and something like that.
I think what would be more fun would be to have Zooms with you and whoever else is interested, because the world of podcasts to me is overwhelming and yet another duty when I'm trying to talk to Republicans here about how war is not a good idea. It's to me, right now, at least, talking about film music is less important use of my time than doing what I can to end this regime. I'm so sorry, and there's other things I would really rather be doing, but we are in a critical time, and the world is falling apart, and there won't be a livable planet unless the people do something. So again, I'm so apologetic, but we feel this looming tragedy, this ongoing tragedy, perhaps more strongly in the US than in Brazil. But anyway,
we are quite afraid here.
Huh?
We are quite afraid of Donald Trump here.
And it's not just Donald Trump. If he dies, then there are all these other criminals in his government.
And our extreme right also. We are afraid of Bolsonaro's, the whole family, and the other ones.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll have election this year.
This year?
Yes, the same condition. The Bolsonaro's son is election.
He's a strong candidate, the son of Bolsonaro.
Wow.
Yeah.
And of course, we get no news about this. So what is his name?
Flávio
Bolsonaro.
Yes.
Okay.
And there are other ones, not only this one, but there are other people from extreme right, and it's very dangerous.
Yes. And no one cares about the earth anymore either.
Yeah. I wanted to go back to the translation thing because, by the way, I have the 2 books of Michel Chion, the last one of Music in Cinema in French, original French, and your translation in English. And I was quite surprised to notice that there were some transformations. For example, the movie Joker, I think it wasn't so well analyzed in the book in French, but then in the book in English with your translation, I think there was more time. But I thought maybe he himself wanted to say more, and then he got this opportunity of the translation. Am I right?
Yes. Whenever I translate Michel, we are in close correspondence. So when it began in the 1990s, it was faxes, hundreds of faxes all the time. And now it's email, except for the rare occasions that we can get together in Paris. And we love corresponding. I ask him questions. He says, and he will answer and say, oh, yeah, that wasn't very clear. Let me add this. And but other changes in that book were because was that Columbia? Yes, Columbia University Press. They didn't want his whole section about notable films year by year that was in the French original. So we left that big section out. Excuse me. But yeah, he added things here and there, which was nice. Very nice.
It was a big surprise to me. I was like, oh, this wasn't in the first book.
That's very good. And I bet there aren't 5 people in the world who have compared the French with the English edition. So brava to you.
Thank you. Actually, he gave me his French book, and then I could get your book in English. Well, I could get it, so it was, yeah. And I use quite a lot the chapter about contemporary music.
Mm-hmm.
This is the one he added to the book, and then this I compared. I compared very closely. The other parts maybe not because
yeah. That's great.
And about the second edition of Unheard Melodies, I've heard, not heard, I've read in an interview of you with Carrie Flynn, I think. You were talking about this edition, so it didn't come to life. It didn't come to life. So it wasn't published.
Right. I did not write. I mean, I wrote things here and there, but I never put it all together. And it was going to be, I had a contract with the University of California Press. And finally, after many years, the editor wrote to me and said, are you planning to do this? And I said, well, no, I guess not. So, yeah. So
it would be interesting if you one day you want to catch it up.
One day when I'm 85, perhaps, yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Let's think about Manuel de Oliveira, the Portuguese director who worked to more than 100 years old. So,
yeah. What age was he at the end? About 102 or?
I think 104. I'm not sure. 102.
Wow. Amazing.
Yeah. And Herbert Blomstedt, the conductor, who is still conducting.
Wow. Okay. I'll write a second edition at
you have time.
Yeah.
Lots of time.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So I would be really interested in knowing what everybody here is writing about. Is it mostly about Brazilian topics or not?
People, it's up to you. Glauber, for example, he's saying that he writes a lot about Cuban cinema.
Ooh.
The Noticiero from ICAIC.
Huh.
My PhD research was about the ICAIC's newsreel, Noticiero ICAIC Latino-Americano, and it's about questions on the sound in the noticiero, and and after that I made a research that I tried to make a cartography of the pre-existing music that was used in the ICAIC's newsreel.
Oh, interesting. Huh.
That's my research.
I'm not seeing everybody, but people, please. Here there are many people from the technical parts, who study editing, sound caption, but you can talk about your work. It's not prohibited. Ana Luísa, for example, she studied animations. Yes.
Not anymore, actually. But I have my master's for my research in a long time ago, and then I work as a professor at the Federal University in São Carlos, in São Paulo. And now I just got admitted for PhD. Finally, I was kind of just passing. Time was passing, and I didn't have a PhD. I still don't have a PhD, but now I'm beginning to make a research about women in film sound in Brazil.
Oh, so great!
This is I'm actually my being oriented by Susana Heck Miranda, and she does research. Her group is about women in music, film music in Brazil, and it's a very they are beginning. Actually, it's been like 5 years about they were beginning to research this, and they found out that it's a minority. It's a very few women who have composing film for sound, composing music for film in Brazil. And so, and then I'm kind of joining the group, but I'll begin researching for the film sound, the technical part. For example, Chidi Borges, who is here, she's someone who will be for sure. She will appear in my research because we don't have the numbers. We know. I know we have. It's grown a little bit, but not too much. We're still minority, but we don't know how many we are. So, and nobody did this yet. So I just decided, okay, I'm going to do this for a PhD.
That's great. And it's courageous of you to go back to do the PhD. That's difficult.
Thank you. Yeah. Just getting back to the research world, because I was just for undergraduating the world at university, but undergraduating students at for film school, and it's a very practical work. And although we have studies, but it's a very practical, because you have to teach the young adults about film sound, and so it's a kind of work. I love it, but it's I was still not so I was still far from the research world, and now I have to go back, and I had to do this, and now I have to go back for my PhD.
Well, that's great. I hope you complete it, unlike the second edition of Unheard Melodies. Yeah.
Thank you.
And Chija, is that right? What do you do that Ana Luísa was mentioning?
Chidi, you are mute. Você está muda.
There.
At first, I am very glad to hear about your fighting against fascism, because here in Brazil, we are going to start fighting because our election is
Important.
Yeah.
Huge.
But I worked for 40 years with sound production, but I can't finally did my master degree, my PhD, and now I am in research, my postdoc research. It's about the break of boundaries between music and the
Noise, sound?
Ai, gente, minha memória tá ruim.
Sem português.
Entre o som ambiente, mas como mais uma relação, uma composição de sons ambientes. Então a música e o som ambiente, eles não estão mais tão separados, o sound design e a música.
Yeah, sound design and music. Yeah, the composition of ambient sounds and music, they are not so separated as they used to be.
The soundscape, the composer of a soundscape, and kind of music, a kind of sound, a kind of noise. Now I made that research in Brazilian movies. And
is this related to what you did in film production? Is this related to your style?
Nowadays, I'm not working anymore with sound production. I'm working with post-production. And in fact, I am more in research and teaching nowadays. And my interest is in documentary movies that use that kind of soundscapes, composer of a kind of soundscape. And I study a particular movie about a Brazilian artist called Paulo. And a documentary about him and his work that use this kind of sound design.
Oh, that sounds very interesting. I'm so sorry I don't speak Portuguese. This would be so much easier if we spoke Portuguese.
I'm a little bit tired today, and my neurons are...
We can always translate, Cid, no problem. And we have the closed captions here, so maybe it can help some way. I don't know if it functions well, but let's try to do this in English, and we're trying to help each other. I think it's.
Obrigada, Luíza.
And now, because Claudia Gorbman asked where are the women who study music, then Georgia Sinara came here. She's entered in the room, and she's one of the women like me, like Susanna, who studies music in cinema. I don't know if she can open the microphone.
Yes, I can. Hi, Claudia. Hi, everybody. finally spending my English here.
Your English is fabulous.
Thank you. I'm tired, as Chidi. I'm very tired, but I'm very glad because it's a great opportunity to know you in this window, because I'm a composer, I'm a musician, and I'm a cinema teacher. So what are the odds? And I'm very glad because the classes I gave about this in my experience here in Goiás, center-west of Brazil, in one semester, it's just one class about music and the others about sound and other layers. So this class uses to be the most memorable for the students, because I'm a musician, I'm a composer, and I always mention you. So I'm very glad to finally meet you here. It's a great pleasure.
It is an honor to know that my name has been spoken in the center west of Brazil.
Yes.
Wow.
That's the idea. So my last research is with Susana from São Carlos, São Paulo, southwest of Brazil, and it's about the invisibility of women that compose music for films in Brazil. So as a composer, it's personal. In fact, it's personal subject. So I'm totally involved in this, and I continue composing for films from São Paulo and from Goiânia, where I teach, where I'm from. So in Goiânia, it's most like classic cinema. So your principles are always there. Yes. And it's really a pleasure. I'm very emotional here.
Well, thank you. And it's a great pleasure for me. What kind of ensembles do you compose for, or is it different every time?
It's different every time. I never have a subject, a budget. I never have. So it's me and Georgia only. Maybe some friends for free. So there's no ensemble, but there are family of instruments. I'm a multi-instrumentist. So I play the violin, I play the mandolin, I play the keyboards, I sing, and I dance, and I do whatever it takes. So wow. It's like that, and artificial instruments, MIDI, that's the way it's possible here in Goiás. So, but it's one of my dreams to learn how to manage a great ensemble, manage people, real people, to do that. So, but as I've never had the budget, it's difficult to learn just in theory. I learned musical theory as a child, and I spent the most part of my life learning that. But as I don't practice, I practice more in cinema than in the other situations. So a place to be, I hope.
Well, that's really admirable. You're a one-woman band.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kinda.
Wow.
with no proud, because I'm tired. As Chidi, I'm tired too.
And how do you spell the name of the city you're in? Goiânia.
Goiânia.
Okay.
Claudia Gorbman just said Goiânia. That's it.
Very rightly.
I can die right now, okay?
Well, I want you to say the name of the very small city that I'm in. Polsbo.
Polsbo.
Beautiful. Okay.
From Goiânia to Polsbo.
Who would have thought? Yes. That's
Yes,
amazing.
what are the odds?
Thanks to internet.
It is amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there are two questions from Carolina. She wrote in the chat in Portuguese. They are long questions, but maybe I can try to summarize. She asks about TikTok. What do you think about this music in TikTok? Could they influence the composition of music for cinema? Because they are so of a small duration, and could that have an influence in a way? Or this is not a question for the composers? What do you think?
Well, that's a really interesting question because other audiovisual media are constantly influencing cinema. So with this extremely short form, how is that changing, for example, the audience's ability to remain focused? How is it influencing just our entire media universe? I know colleagues who are still at universities here who say their students don't even want to watch an entire feature film because it's too long. So I have no idea how TikTok will influence the music, specifically the music of a film, but that's a really interesting question to which I have no answer.
Yeah, on the other hand, the mainstream films, they are getting quite long, you know, like Oppenheimer and these last ones, the one of Paul Thomas Anderson, which was very, very big.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like a contradiction. People are on TikTok seeing very short videos. They have difficulty in concentration. Then they go to the movies and they see a film. They watch a film of more than 2 hours or more than 3 hours sometimes.
I wonder if it's the same people.
Yeah. That's a question.
Yeah.
Georgia, would you like to add something?
Yes, maybe music in TikTok works with impact, like the trailers, movie trailers. Maybe we can relate, of course, totally different situations, but this impact in trailers, for example, is very common. The use of music library. So I hope, I guess, music in TikTok, maybe the same way. I don't know, but in my head, it's all about impact.
And that use of library music is so common in TikTok, right? I mean, perhaps most of the music that accompanies pictures of dogs looking sad comes from music libraries. Are there composers for TikTok? Are there people who?
I think people won't be ashamed to write like that in your curriculum. TikTok composer, I think it doesn't work.
Maybe now it's AI, right?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Oh, I love that idea, TikTok composer.
That was a question of Carolina Ercolim. She can't open the microphone now, and she wrote in the chat. She also asked if you have watched the Brazilian last films that were in the Oscar, like for example, The Secret Agent,
Oh, that is on my list. Yes. I heard it's great. I'm sorry.
Have you seen it?
No, I haven't, but it is top on my list. I hear that it's really great. Do you love it?
Well, I won't say anything because I think I'm one of the people who don't like it very much. But of course, I see many good things in it. I have some questions, statistical questions. Okay, but it's worthwhile, I think.
I will watch it immediately. So
yeah, it's worthwhile, and it's nice if you could see it in a movie theater. It would be nicer, but okay. I don't know if in your town they are screening it.
Probably not. No, I see everything online here. So
yeah, and she asked Carolina if you are familiar with other Brazilian films and with the use of sound, and then these last films of Kleber Mendonça Filho, the director of Secret Agent.
Not very familiar, since my life depends on streaming these days, and there's very little. There's a few. I've seen a couple of melodramas from Brazil, but nothing I remember very clearly. So yeah, my knowledge of international films of any kind is getting restricted by the commercial platforms of Netflix, etc. So I'm sorry, I can't speak about Brazilian films.
Georgia?
Sorry to monopolize everything here, but Claudia, aren't you tired of seeing films and listening to music? Because it's so many years studying that. It's not, isn't there a saturation of that?
For me, no. Let's see. When I grew up as a child in New York, my parents were television snobs. Do you know that term? That they did not want to get a television in the 1950s. And of course, that made me all the more interested in television and movies, because I never got to go to the movies. So I think starting in college, it was my great revenge to love the media and movies. So no, I don't get tired of them. I get really tired of mediocre movies. And that's most of them. But no, I love the movies.
Fair enough.
And you? Are you not tired of movies, are you?
No, I'm not. Of the mediocre, yes, I'm tired, but I don't watch them, so it's okay.
I think it's remarkable how human beings constantly invent and reinvent, even in old genres. I thought, well, what can music possibly do now that it's done everything? But then new music comes along and it's great. And same with movies, right? So
it maybe refreshes everything.
Yeah.
And there is a comment here in the chat by Claudia Fischer. Let me see here. She was saying that in Norway, she was astonished to see very young people seeing Oppenheimer. It's a long film. But at the same time, they were looking at their things in their smartphones and seeing the film. So maybe it's a new way of watching films.
Oh, boy.
I know that many people see and hear audiovisual in a velocity of 2 times. For image, okay, but for sound, I think that should be very strange.
Very strange. Every once in a while, when watching a mediocre film, I will check my email, but that's because it's so boring that I have time and attention for both. But boy, when there's a good film, if you're not really watching and listening, it's lost. So, Does anyone else here, check your phone when you're watching a film?
Not in the cinema.
At the cinema, no, but at home, I confess.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Can I say something? It's just I don't do that, but I saw that I guess in Netflix, people who write the stories and stuff like that, who direct, they're already counting on that nowadays. So it's like they have this briefing kind of sort of thing to write not simpler stories, more simple stories, but to write scenes in which, some character or something happens that he explains what is happening, or he repeats, he reiterates some explanation, just to count that people were paying attention, or they're doing something else, like while they just listening. So it's almost like the films, which has always made part of the films in some ways, in certain aspects, but nowadays it's even stronger. There has to be a scene where the character kind of teaches or kind of reinforces what's going on, what's happening, or what has happened already, counting that people are not paying full attention all the time, it's like something like that. So it's kind of crazy, because then it's kind of this feedback, it starts to change, the audience start to change the way films and series are made.
So is that a practice in, for example, Netflix films, or who is doing this?
Yeah, Netflix films or series, streaming series, something like that, like they're counting that people are not going to pay attention for a long time. So if something is important, it has to be, talked about more than one time, it's like, it has to be more, I don't know, it's like, but there was a lot of it at least in Brazilian TV, Brazilian soap opera. I know that some very old directors commented that, you have to count on the people are not paying attention all the time. Sometimes they're cleaning the house while they're listening to the TV in the other room. So you have to think the stories, how they're presented in that way also. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I think in a way it's the principle of unheard melodies. The music is like reinforcing what's already said in the image, but in a very big percentage, in a very big reinforcement. It's not like, okay, the music is said and the scene is said. They are still explaining why it's said. The music is said, the scene is said, and they are explaining why.
Character is speaking, yeah.
Yeah, it's speaking, and yeah.
Yes,
this is said,
But it's the music in a classical film is just reinforcing what's there simultaneously. And what Raphael is saying is that there's a temporal element to characters actually summing up what has come before.
Yeah.
And it's radio has done that for decades, right?
Yeah.
We're listening to blah 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 speak about blah blah blah, and this is what he has said. Now, so radio assumes that the many listeners come in every few minutes, and you have to resume. Do a resume of what has been discussed. And television has done that to some extent as well. But for movies to do that is sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were asking about people and what they were studying, if they were studying Brazilian film. But here we have, for example, Demian, who studies Japanese films. We have Roberta Coutinho, that studies Lucrécia Martel, an Argentinian director. So there are many, it's very diverse here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you want to speak, you people. If you are shy or if you don't have the microphone, you can write in the chat, no problem.
Roberta asked that. They're in the chat.
Roberta is in the chat, okay. Well, it's a long question. She wrote in English. So good afternoon, Claudia and everyone. First of all, thank you for the opportunity to hear you speak. Your work is a fundamental reference for my research about the role of sound effects in cinema, especially regarding the possible narrative and aesthetic correlations between music and effects. So having the opportunity to attend one of your lectures is truly gratifying for me. It's Roberta Coutinho. Well, let's get the question. In an interview you gave in the 2016 edition of Rebecca, this edition of this interview to Fernando Moraes, Rodrigo Carreiro, and Susana Heck Miranda, you commented on the blurring of boundaries between music scores and sound effect scores, using the expression expanded musical soundtracks. And understand this new intertwined way of conceiving film soundtracks made possible, above all, by the continuous advancement of digital phonographic technology and the sophistication of sound effect scores as a recent trend in contemporary sound design, a recent trend. A decade after that statement, in a scenario where this trend is becoming increasingly consolidated, even going beyond popular films, blockbusters, such as Argentine and Brazilian cinema, documentaries, what implications do you believe it has on the conceptual methodological field of film sound studies? I mean, do you believe that there is a more intricate way of conceiving film soundtracks would require a reformulation of the theoretical methodological field to accommodate the classification and the study of these borderline sonorities?
Oh, great question. I don't know how to answer it. Even among film composers, the way that, for example, let me think, somebody like Hans Zimmer, who, is full of sound with his music, I'm sure that he and his team have developed an enormous vocabulary for sounds in the sound/music design. It's clearly a way to make the soundtrack more immersive, more all-encompassing. I keep thinking about One Battle After Another, which I just saw, which is full of this kind of amazing textures and percussive sounds and sound effects, so that you no longer distinguish between music and sound, which is clearly the soundtrack is no longer organized by these separate departments of sound effects and music, but all one. For me, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But is the question that Roberta is asking, is there some new methodological framework to use, I suppose, please invent it. It certainly exists in terms of practice, in terms of the composers and the sound designers. Maybe scholarship needs to catch up with it in terms of ways to speak about it. I mean, also, the whole question of what is diegetic and what is non-diegetic is becoming irrelevant. I mean, all of these categories are collapsing in very interesting ways. So
I think it's still valid. As Robin Steele pointed, she was here actually in one of our sections, and she says it's still valid.
mm-hmm.
Of course, there are many ways of using music now, and with immersive cinema, if you have immersive cinema, it's getting more complicated than ever. But I think it's still valid.
Mm-hmm. I just rewatched Birdman, the film by Iñárritu, which raises both of those issues, the diegetic, non-diegetic, and also the music and sound effects, since so much of the soundtrack is that improvised drumming and other percussive sounds. And I don't know if it's inside the main character's head or not. Sometimes you see the drummer and clearly the film is just playing with it so that you can't, Robin is wrong there. You can't know what is diegetic and what is non-diegetic. But so.
Yeah, there are always films that put these categories in check.
Yes, in question. Yeah. Well, interesting question. Huh?
Oh, sorry.
I just wanted to thank Roberta for what does truncado mean? Truncado.
That means confusing. Especially her question was confused, but I think it was not. And Roberta also asked in the end if you were using this concept of expanded, how does it mean? Expanded musical soundtracks, if you're using this in your last publications or not.
No, haven't used it, no.
Even not in the second edition of
Perhaps the mythical second edition. Yeah. But she should use it if she wants. Definitely.
Yes, Roberta, it's up to you.
Yes.
Okay, so more people. I think Damien is here, still here. No?
Is Damien the one you mentioned who is studying
Japanese film? Yeah. The question of Carolina. No, I made the question of Carolina.
Desculpa, achei que você não tinha feito, desculpa.
Yeah, that's Roberta.
Hi, Claudia. Sorry, my English is not so good.
Well, my Portuguese doesn't exist.
I decided to write. Good morning, bom dia. Now it's good afternoon, boa tarde.
No, in Brazil, but not where Claudia is.
Yeah.
It's
true.
11:30, yeah.
Oh, yeah, sorry. It's the fuso already.
Yeah, the time delay is a little bit strange. You have 4 hours.
Right. Yeah.
So, people, anyone more wants to say something or to?
Yes, about Portuguese, Claudia. Do you know any other word in Portuguese beyond bom dia?
A few things, and I could, when Luíza sent me a text that she wrote, I could sort of read it, because it's related, it's a Romance language, but it's, no, not really.
Because we can teach you some slangs.
Yeah.
If you want.
Sure. It's a beautiful language, so beautiful.
Yes, a very rich one.
Mm-hmm.
No more questions or something you want to say to Claudia?
We could do this again sometime.
Oh,
yeah. You don't have to store up all your questions. And I would love to know what everybody is doing in 1 year from now, So it's so great to meet you, even this limited way. So.
She said Goiânia. I can't recover.
And you said Paulsbo.
Yeah.
So.
No one. We leave for the next time we meet.
Okay, I will live for that. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, me too. I have to leave for that because my scholarship is going to end, but I'll leave for next year.
Yeah.
Deborah Opolsky is also a teacher, and she's thanking you. She's saying thank you, Claudia.
Well, thank you all.
I think she can't open the camera, so.
Muito obrigada to everybody.